what's up, everybody? I'm Joe Ortiz with Lockjaw, and you're watching the Montoya Power Podcast.
Welcome to the show with your host, RJ Montoya.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Montoya Power Podcast. We have a special guest, a singer here from Lockjaw, very great band that's up and coming on the rising, Joe Ortiz. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, thanks for taking the time. I know you've been very busy with family and everything going on. And so how you been? How's life treating you?
Man, life is life, man. It goes, it's up and down and sideways and all that stuff, and you just gotta deflect and just go along with it and try not to force anything.
Absolutely. And so you're a family man like me too. You're a musician. I'm not a musician. I wish I was, but you're a musician. How do you balance being a musician and being a father?
Man, that's a great question. I actually got asked that by just a friend of mine, like trying to balance everything out. Because I stay busy. I keep myself busy, idle hands type deal.
Oh, yeah.
Playground for the devil. And I just, I've already had enough of that. So it's really just taking it upon yourself and saying, hey, man, how you can't, if you focus too much on one thing and if it's a bad thing, family, that's family's family. You got to take care of your girls, you got to take care of your wife, yourself and everything like that. So it's man, it's hard to describe because I got to make sure that I'm good because I've done that before where I just tried to make sure that they were good first and I was just neglecting myself, and just letting my mental health go down and things like that. But now I make sure that I work out. I make sure that I'm eating good.
Yeah.
I make sure that I'm keeping myself creative. All of those keep me grounded. So that way, whenever the babies, they want to ask me questions or they were going through something, and good Lord, man, they're teenagers, so they're always going through something. Their mother and things like that.
And you have girls too.
I have girls.
Nothing against girls.
Nothing at all. I could not imagine having a boy.
Dude, I'm the same way. People are always just like, don't you want to have a son? I'm like, I'm the only king of my castle.
That's
right. But something about having daughters it really humbles me.
Yeah.
So how old are your kids?
They're 14 and then my oldest turns 16 on Friday.
That's a blessing, man. Yeah. That's a blessing.
Yeah, we've made it, man. Like I've made it there, and I've heard all my life about, oh man, because I love gray. I love the gray in my hair. I've earned every one.
A little bit.
I've earned it all, man. So, and they was like, man, well, why do you want to keep getting older? I was like, because that means I was there. That means I was there.
Experience,
for the girls.
wisdom, for sure.
I didn't make it to where I'm at right now by being a goof off and being a jackass. I mean, I learned a lot. I got a lot of scars.
Oh yeah, a lot of failures too, right? Because to be successful, you got to fail. Otherwise,
100%.
You're just sitting on the couch.
100%.
And you got to learn from the failures.
If you're not making mistakes, you're not learning. If you're not learning, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're not progressing. If you're not progressing, you're not doing anything.
Yes. So ever since I've known you, you've always been a motivator. I see you online, social media, working out. You're like standing on your hands and doing all these things on the wall, which is crazy.
Yeah.
How'd you get into fitness, and why is it so important for you?
Man, fitness for me was takes a little bit of a dark turn, but I mean, just whenever I was younger.
Hey, we're here to talk about it. That's what we talk about here in this podcast. Reality, authenticity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always been, I guess, an active kid. They call that thing. They give it a name these days, like your ADHD and all that stuff. I was a kid.
High energy.
High energy.
Yes.
After like my parents passed whenever I was 10, and then I was staying with my aunts. My cousin, who was my older cousin, he was always working out, and things like that. And he was just kind of, but he was a meathead. He was just like, eating and pump weights.
Protein.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I did that for a while. It didn't feel good to me. What I mean by that is that it was just like, it just didn't connect with me. I started gaining a lot of weight, and I was like, man, I thought if you lift weights and you just all of a sudden get, chiseled up and stuff like that. And then as I got older, I just completely fell off. I was always working out and trying to do things that way. Magazines, all those muscle magazines, buying $300, $400
muscle
worth of
fitness,
all that stuff,
protein, whey,
powders, supplements, and I just kept rounding out. And I was like, man, I just took it upon myself to do some reading and some research, and I found out about nutrition. And it all happened for me because
it's educational. That's what that is, man.
Education, man. Yes. You got to learn for yourself. There's no cookie cutter. You can't, just because it works for you doesn't mean it's going to work for me.
100%.
What works for me doesn't work for you.
Different body types. We're always trying to compare ourselves, especially today in social media. It's just like, my body's not your body. Like,
yeah. Social media back then was magazines.
Yes.
That was, and movies and things like that. So, I gained a lot of weight. I'm not very tall. I'm 5'7", which is average height.
Well, I'm taller than you. Yeah. I'm 5'9". Like, what?
So I'm just I've got a solid base or everything, but I kept eating and doing all that stuff, and I was just round. I was big. I got up to 300 pounds.
Are you serious, dude?
I was 300 pounds.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I remember my oldest daughter. She was a year old, something like that, and we were in an apartment. I was big. I couldn't even believe that I didn't even notice.
Wow. I
don't know how that happens, but that's just, you're in your own world, and a lot of stuff was going on at that time.
At that point, you stopped working out? You were just binging? Or?
I was just, I guess I was depressed. I didn't even know what depression was at that point. I was almost 30. I think I was 29 or 30. I didn't even know what it was. I mean, I heard about it, but I've always been like a positive dude, and like always like, hey man, you got to work through it, blah, blah. It's just been something in my head. And I didn't even realize that I had gained that much weight. I know that's self-neglect.
Yes.
When you don't even know you're 300 pounds.
Right. You just look in the mirror one day and you're like, who's this guy?
And it was a chubby hand. I was like, dude, what the hell? And then I took a look in the mirror and I was like, whoa. I was like, my stomach's out bigger past my chest. And then my daughter, I remember the day. It was in July. Hot outside, summer, Texas summer. Opening up the door of the apartment. And I'm like, whoa, that he hit me. And I was like, Mama, we can't go outside. It's hot, man. She's just sitting there, tiny, tiny voice.
Yeah.
Park. And I was like...
Because she's young. She's a kid. She doesn't know anything about that. Know. Yeah.
She's sitting there.
And she just needs daddy to be daddy. Yeah.
Yes, let's go play. And I was like, she went. So I said, Mom, go watch TV. And just like the sadness on her face, I went to my room. And I started crying, man.
I've been there, bro.
I started crying. I sat in there for about an hour and just cried. And then I remember I was like... Okay, man, I know you used to be in football, you were in wrestling, you know how to work out. You know what to do. Muscle
memory.
That's it. So I threw on my shoes, and whenever my wife then came home, their mother had came home, and I said, I'm going to go work out. And she was like, okay.
Right,
and I went to go put some shoes. I ran for 5 minutes.
Dude,
man,
huffing and puffing.
I was exhausted. I came home, I was like, just puffing. She was like, you okay? I was like, I've got some work to do.
Like Brendan Fraser in the movie The Well.
Yeah. Like, oh my God.
That's a tough movie too.
It was a reality check, but then something inside of me, man, I've always had that discipline deep inside. I didn't know what it was. I just knew that
you could turn the switch back on.
I can do it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I made sure that every single day past that day, that if I was going to run, before I started doing pull-ups, before I started lifting weights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I had also done a lot of reading, like, you got to do body weight first. Have full control of your body before you can start adding weight on, because if you don't have good form, technique,
need that foundation,
then you're just adding weight onto, and you're just gonna hurt yourself.
Yes.
Because if you're too fat, if you're too heavy, then you've got plenty of weight to work with.
Oh yeah.
And if you're too skinny and you're not strong enough to do anything, then you've got plenty of weight to work with.
There you go.
Either way.
That's a good philosophy too.
Yeah, I mean, either way, get that first. And I would run every day, and if I ran 5 minutes yesterday, I was going to run 5 minutes and 1 second today. Never go any less.
So you pushed yourself further.
Every single day.
Okay.
Even if it was a second.
Yes.
Even if it was a second. Even if it was a step. I did that, and then I just started after a couple months, of course, eating the right stuff. I stopped eating all that crap that I was eating, fast food all the time.
Yeah. And poison, guys.
Man. It really is. It's made cheap so that you can just go buy it in bulk, and it's just empty calories.
Yes. And it makes you lazy because you don't cook anymore. And
you don't cook anymore.
You think it's like a fast thing, but in reality, you're spending more money for less, and you're still hungry.
Yeah. And it's just the wrong type of food. I've learned that. That's something that everybody's gonna have to learn on their own. Look, man, I've done that. I've been a nutritionist. I've been a trainer. I've got myself from 300 pounds down to having an 8-pack.
That's crazy.
And stuff like that. I did that. Bro, whenever I first met you, that's what I was man, you can see my stomach through my shirt. I was feeling good.
Dude, I've been working on that 6-pack for like 20 years. And I get my stomach flat, but then I get to the point where I'm like, oh man, like I don't know. I start getting headaches. I fast every day. I do intermittent fasting.
Okay, and see once again, and this is not, man. You found something I'm saying kind of works for you, because if you're getting all that, in my personal opinion, and through the experience that I've had,
tell me, man.
If you're getting those headaches, something's not right. You need to do something a little bit different. Because I was doing the intermittent fasting too. That was I just called that eating whenever I was hungry, and I'm only eating whenever I'm hungry. Wow, I'm not doing the, hey, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You have to eat.
The schedule. I got you.
Like I did that and it didn't work. So I was like, man, I'm not even hungry. Let me go work out. Let me get my hunger up, and then I'm gonna eat. And
replenish that fuel.
Yeah, that works for me. And
that makes sense. That makes sense.
These days, like to this day, I only eat whenever I'm hungry. And I'm a human being. I fall off. I definitely don't have an 8-pack anymore. But that was
too many hot Cheetos. No.
Yeah. But it's a rigorous schedule. Like you have to want to do that. There's a reason why those bodybuilders and actors and everybody that looks that way. A lot of it's genetics. Some of it's genetics that can help too. High metabolism. True. I don't have that luxury. Like I can gain weight very easily. Yeah. But I can also lose it pretty quickly as well.
How old are you now?
44.
Oh, you look good for your age,
Thank
bro.
you,
I'm
man.
41, so like...
Yeah, I get that.
Do you get that too, right? I get it.
I thought you were like 32. I was like, I'll take that.
Older people tend to treat me like I'm a kid sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, dude, I've been through the war, I've been divorced, I'm married, I got a 19-year-old daughter in college, I got 2 other kids, I got a house mortgage, a business. Then they're like, oh, I'm like... You know what it is? When I was 18, I would see a 30-year-old, and if they were overweight, in my head, I was just like, dude, they're old. But then when I got in my 28, 29, I was just like, I'm almost 30 and I'm still young. And I was in college and there was this guy who was like, he was like walking up the stairs. He's like, oh, I'm old. Give me a second. I said, dude, I'm 28. You're 30. What are you talking about? You're not old. You're just out of shape.
That's it.
Right?
That's it. 100%. That's it too. Because I've had that too. Like, man, when we were young, a 30-year-old looked 50.
Yes.
A 50-year-old looked 80.
Perspectives. Yes.
Dude, I'm 44 now. I can't wait till I'm 54, 64, 74. Right. Because I have made a goal for myself that I am going to be that grandfather that's still doing pull-ups.
Hey, there you go.
Still doing that stuff. I'm going to be doing
Picking up the baby, the grandkids.
Always.
That's important.
Yeah, 100%.
So the fitness part of it, you said you talked a little about mental health and stuff. Like, do you feel that kind of brought you out of that dark point in your life? Like, what were you going through?
At that time, a couple of different things. That's what got me to start working out again and to really learn about nutrition and working out the right way for me.
Right.
And I read it somewhere. I can't even remember where I read it from, but it just said, not everything works for everybody. So that helped me through that. But for the mental part was whenever December 16, 2016, when my wife left me. Okay. That is what, because I was an angry guy, and I realized that I used to, I do music, and I was she met me whenever I was doing music and stuff like that. We had a kid, we had 2 kids, and then I was just I thought, because of the way that I was brought up, and I was trying to do the right thing, that I have to quit all that. Right. Just quit, and you're a dad now. Mm. But once again, like I say, you've got to make yourself happy first, and that's where the balance comes out. It took me all this time to figure it out, but I loved doing music. Right. And I held some resentment against that because now I have to take a step back. Now it's not me. Now I've got to take care of her and those 2. And I'm like, man. So I was angry. I was pissed all the time. I was yelling all the time, and it just whenever she left, because she had already for me it was out of the blue. I was like, whoa, what is going on? Right. But she had already checked out. She had enough.
And you didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
Right.
I didn't see. I was being. There's a good selfish and a bad selfish.
Absolutely.
I was being a bad selfish. I was saying stupid things. I'm not like I do not condone any kind of domestic violence or anything like that. But words can mess you up.
Absolutely.
Yes. That's a different kind of abuse. True. And I was just saying dumb things like, she's like, you're drinking, you're coming home drunk, and I'm like, you know what? Well, if I don't make it, then you'll read about me on the news. Dumb shit. I'm like, man, I was like, God. And I'm looking back, I'm like, dude.
Men can be stupid, yes. 100%.
So horrible. And that's a horrible thing to hear from somebody you love.
Yeah. Well, I've been there, brother. I've done a lot of dumb stuff too. And sometimes when you check out and you don't realize you've changed and other people see it around you, and it's just like a denial phase. But kudos to you for turning that around. Yeah. And what turned it around for you? Man,
I don't know what it is because, I believe there's something out there. I'm not a religious person, but I know God. I know that there's a bigger being out there. There's like, we're all part of God. We're
creator.
Creator. Something. It's not a person. It's not a building, in my opinion. It's it's in your heart.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like
definitely not a building.
But I had a feeling we had this little situation go on a couple days before she actually left, and I don't know, it's intuition. I've had it all my life. I was having a dream that she was leaving me, and I woke up crying, and she was next to me, and I woke her up, and she was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "This is just too real. I had a dream that you're leaving me," and just her attitude. She was like, "It was a dream. Go back to bed." And that was
really?
It was cold, and I was like, and then 3 days later, I was a trainer at a gym, and I just had this weird feeling, man. I was like, man,
something's going on.
Something's weird, dude. Something's weird.
Yeah.
And I went home. My clients two of my clients had canceled, so I came home a couple hours early. And I was driving down. I was passing the gas station, and I looked like my wife. I was like, "Is that her?" And I was in my head. I was like, "Oh, whatever."
Right.
And I went home.
Like, why would she be there?
Yeah. I was like, what's she doing? She don't got nothing to do right now. And then I went home, and it just eerie quiet. Her car wasn't there, like an eerie quiet. And I went to the girls' room, and it looked a little empty. Not everything was taken, but just like some stuff. I was like, "Oh, man, what is going on?"
Right.
And then, right whenever I'm about to text her, I get this message, long, and it just starts off saying, "One day you'll understand."
Wow.
And it was just like this, and I went right back into myself, where I was getting a little pissed off. I was like, I'm heading to the door, and I go to grab the door, and I don't know what it was, but I physically felt something push my chest back,
really,
and talk and say, "What are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go?
Wow.
Where do you think she is?" And I'm like somebody's talking to me, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, "Yeah, what am I gonna do? Where do I even start?"
Right.
She won't answer the phone, so I remember sitting back, just walking backwards, and sitting on the couch, and just sitting there for 4 hours, and I just sat there, and I just said, "Joseph, how did you get here, man? How did you get here? How do you get out of this?" And I started thinking about all the dumb stuff that I said, right, all the arguments, all the everything that I was doing, that I was just being mean. And I said, "Okay, all right, man." And I never really prayed, and I started praying then. I was just like, "Man," or whatever you want to call it, talking to whatever. I was just like, "Just help me get out of this."
Right.
And that's where I started my journey of really looking deep, and I was listening to podcasts, and I was listening to all this different
you're searching for something.
So I was like, "Man,
yeah,
give me an answer." And I just started reading, and I woke up every morning at 3:00, and that's whenever I started doing yoga. Like, I just started, because my mind goes a million miles a minute.
Yeah.
Always.
Right.
And I had to,
and you're a type A, so you're always boom 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 boom.
It took me forever to figure out how to meditate, because I didn't think I could. And I just kept trying, getting frustrated with myself. And then I finally, I remember just calming myself, and just the way I did it for me, I pictured looking down a well into the pitch black, and just looking in that black until the black just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now I'm just there in the dark.
Yeah.
Quiet. And I just kept doing it. Now, whenever I meditate, I can get into a meditative state just by closing my eyes and just taking a breath, and then I'm there. But it took me so long to get there, and in that quiet, for me, what I've realized, and things that I've read and things, is that, if you want an answer, you ask a question, and then you shut up, and you listen, and you search, and you just be quiet, and then something will come up.
Right.
And so I did that. I went to seminars. I drove to San Diego to go to a men's conference.
So you were actively pursuing.
I was trying, man, because I wanted to see my daughters.
Absolutely.
I wanted my wife back.
100%.
I knew, and I just knew that we were supposed to be together, because I'm an old school guy, man. I don't know where I got this from. Man, I just one wife, one family.
There you go.
For me, like I said, I know that's sometimes that's maybe a little too stubborn, and it happens because people find you maybe just weren't with the right person at the right time. But I've just still, No,
I don't think that's you being stubborn or anything like that. I'm a Christian, and I'm a believer, and there's a covenant between a man and a woman and God. And a lot of people, it's so easy, especially in today's culture, to be like, "Oh, things are going bad, so let's just give up."
Bounce.
But
Too many options out there.
too many options, or just quitting, or trying to keep it up with the Joneses and say, "Well, they don't have it this way. You don't know if they're happy or not." But working towards it, I think it's awesome that you fought for it. I was married before my current wife, and we're going on 17 years this September.
That's awesome, man.
But for the first one, I fought to try to keep it and hold it on so that my oldest daughter wouldn't have to go through the back and forth. So I can definitely relate. I made mistakes there too. With that situation, we were just too young, and I didn't have God in my life, so I didn't have a foundation. Yeah. And you're right. The Bible does state in Scripture that like words can be like honey, or they can be like poison, and that's something that I've learned myself too. Yeah. So I think it's awesome, man. But so did that work out, or is that something you had to evolve from?
And that's it's fun because we're together now.
What?
That's,
Are you serious?
And like I
good news.
Dude,
yes.
I'm telling you,
like, that is awesome,
I
bro.
walked in, I was like, dude, it's been up and down.
Yes.
And you know, like I said, we're here to talk about me, but you know, she just wasn't ready. She had not done what I had done. Not that I'm any kind of whatever, but I had sat quiet for the first time she left me. Not the first time she left me, because she has left me a couple more times. It's just back and forth.
Yes.
But
well, you guys were growing.
Yeah, I was by myself for 4 years. 4 years. That's whenever I met you. Like I was coming out with our
I remember. I was a man.
Like that. Yeah.
I remember Scott bringing you around. I was like, man, who's this GQ guy over here? Actor.
Yes, I mean, I sat in silence a lot. I did a lot of soul searching. I did a lot of me work. I did a lot of exploring, going to, you know, out of town and going to lakes and sitting in the woods and
finding yourself.
Finding a reason, like just smiling, like, dude, I feel good. I'm in a good place. My mind is no longer that way. Yeah. I did a complete 180 and I have not turned back.
That's amazing.
I do fall every once in a while, of course.
We all stumble. Yeah. We all stumble.
But I recognize it now, and I'm not so stubborn to where I'm like, no, I'm not wrong. I'm like, dude, if somebody flips me off in the on the highway or whatever, and I yell, I'm like, as soon as I yell at, I'm like, man, what are you doing, dude?
That's perfect.
What are they going through? What are you doing, man?
True.
What are you doing? What's going to happen? And I catch myself immediately, and I've gotten to there, but she had not done that, and I watched her be with, you know, other guys and bring them around my girls and things like that. That's
that wasn't easy.
That for me, I was like, I only had.
Takes a strong man.
Words. But I was never like, hey man, and I was never like that. I was always like, dude, you're with their mother. Right. I'll discipline my kids.
Don't mess with my children, for sure. 100%.
That was as far as it ever went.
Right.
You know, there was
and that's respectful.
That's it. And
absolutely.
I was like, man, I will be a 100% cool guy if you just don't do that. You talk to me. You call me. Mm-hmm. You're dating their mother. That you're dating their mother. That's you. Right. This is me. Absolutely. And her. Yeah. Don't mess with dad. Yeah. Because I was like, dude, because once again I was finding myself and I was an angry guy and I was like, man, I said.
That takes a lot of willpower.
Yeah, I'm like, in my head, I'm not trying to bump gums with somebody. But I'm also not trying to just threat with words. In my head, I'm like, man, you don't want this.
And you also got to let them know, like, hey, I'm here. I'm gonna protect my kids.
I'm active in my girl's life.
I'm active, yes.
They're not looking for another dad. Absolutely. I'm not the guy there, because we see that all the time where dads just bail and they're not even there.
I'm there. I remember one time. Yeah. So we were at Darlene's house and we were watching a fight or something. Big UFC fans over here. Yeah. And then you received a phone call or text or something, and I think your kids were sick or something. Yeah. So you get up and you're like, hey, I gotta go buy them some NyQuil or medicine or something. Yeah. And you drove from where I live all the way across town to go do that, go take him that. And it was like 11 at night, and like the main event was coming on or something, and you took off, and I was just like, that's a good dude, that's a good dad. And I love that, bro, because I went through a struggle myself. It's all water under the bridge, but I love men that can sit there and say, you know what, when things hit the fan, I still got to man up and do what I got to do for my loved ones. So that is awesome. How did you get her back? Like,
so it was I'm living my life. I'm happy. Yeah. I'm doing my stuff. And she just remembered me being angry. So there was a lot of, you know, like I said, she left me, ended up leaving me about 5 or 6 times. And so I was going through the struggle. I was like, okay, am I just an idiot? Or do I really love that hard? You know, so I just kept, you know.
I can love hard too, and sometimes you push people away.
Oh man,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying, and so she would just see me happy, and then she'd come back around, and you know, she was like, hey, you know, you look like you're doing well. Maybe we could give this a shot.
She was always in love with you.
I hope so.
No,
I'd like to believe that.
No, it sounds like that. She was always in love, but
she did say that.
She was waiting for you to lead her.
She was waiting for me to get control of this.
Yes.
But in the process, and I'm no psychiatrist or whatever, she never did that. She never sat quiet. She was never alone. She never. So she saw me doing it, and she knows it's possible. But in her head, she was right all the time. So she didn't have anything to work on.
Right.
This is just what I see, and we've talked about it.
Absolutely.
We've talked about it even recently. You know, like we've talked about it, and and I'm also. But now I've adopted the mindset to where, like, you know what? We've talked about this all so much already. We already know what we did wrong.
Right.
Let's move on.
Yes.
Leave it.
Grow.
Let it die. Let it die. And she's got some work to do, and she's starting to realize that, and because we talk, and I'm like, because that was the thing. Communication.
Wow.
Is what we never had. It was always I'm saying this, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And then she would not get her word in, and then I sat quiet all the time and let her talk all the time, and she had not dealt with it, so she would just beat me down.
Right.
And then I was
flipped it around.
And then so she just felt like I was not strong enough, so she bailed again.
Right.
And then next time I'm like, okay, look, let's just listen. That's
the ups and
working.
downs of a relationship, man. God.
Yes. So I'm like, let's just talk. And it always turned out about the talking, the communication.
Listen.
There's a very fine line between, okay, I'm not ready to talk about it, so take a break. But in my personal opinion, man, don't wait a day, don't wait 2 days, don't wait a week, don't wait a month, because then it's already, then you're just bringing up old shit.
And it builds up.
And it builds up. And that was the thing, because she was brought up a certain way. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, which you really don't.
Right.
But if you want to get somewhere, that's if you don't want, if you don't want nothing to do with them anymore, and you're just like done, wash your hands, cool.
Right.
But if you want to do this and we're gonna make this work,
right,
we got to talk, and we can't wait that long, because I said I did a lot of work, and now I let things go quickly.
Right.
She'll be like, she would wait a week, a month, and just get quiet and start ignoring me. And now 2 months have gone by. I'm like, can we talk? I don't know what I'm gonna say to you. I was like, after 2 months, you don't know what to say?
Because she didn't have those coping skills or those tools. She has emotional intelligence, but you had built a different type of emotional intelligence where you were able to be patient and decipher things, and she was just kind of living through the anger and resentment.
Yeah, and I get that too. But you gotta.
We're all like that.
But you gotta let that go. The two things that I tell my girls all the time now, and I tell her, I'm like, listen, attachment is the root of suffering. Let it go.
Wow.
Let it go.
Yeah.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
There you go. Yes.
Those right there, because that's what I learned. There was a picture.
You're right. Absolutely.
There was a picture that I saw that's why it stuck with me. Attachment is the root of all suffering, and it was that picture of a fist with a rope around it and holding on to a cinder block. And so in the picture, the hand is all red, but it's not tied. It's just around. It's like one of those things where you're holding on to it,
right,
and all you got to do is let it go and it unravels.
Right.
And then you get the blood
all
back.
the pressure's gone.
And I was like, and that stuck with me, man. I was like, that's it. So I learned to let things go, because that was one of her arguments, that you never let anything go. You hold on to everything. I was like, and I heard it. I heard her.
Yeah.
I heard her.
I've been there.
Like, okay. I was like, okay. So now I took that, and now I'm living that way. And our argument was that, I said, I learned that from you. I learned it from you. So why
learned that from your wife?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like, why? I mean, I saw that picture, but I mean, she told me that before.
Absolutely. And then she learned from you.
Yeah.
She learned from you the way you changed, and you were patient. And so in the Bible it says if you're equally yoked, it's kind of like a yin and a yang.
Yeah.
We complement each other as husband and spouse. And so she when you started learning from her and she started learning from you, y'all started submitting to each other. That's just amazing, man.
It was a timing thing.
That's amazing.
She comes from a very religious family, so there was a lot of, like, calm, hey, sit and think about it, blah, blah, blah. But things happen in life, and she was naive, and she was thrown out into the world, and she went out, and so then things just started getting...
As we all are thrown to the world.
Nobody comes into the world ready to go.
No.
I've got scars on the outside and on the inside.
Yes.
And I'm still learning today, every single day. And that's just the thing, you gotta... If you're so cocky and arrogant that you think you know it all, you don't know anything, and you're for a world of pain. And that's why
humility,
wisdom,
man.
Humility. That's how I didn't make it this far. I almost didn't make it this far. There's a reason why I'm here, because I've been in situations where I should not have made them out. that I almost didn't make them out.
Yes.
And I'm like, what am
God's
I here
grace.
for?
Yeah.
I've done that movie scene where like, what am I here for? Tell me.
Yes.
I've done that.
Yes.
I've done that, and
I did that recently.
yeah, man, it's hard. It's humbling, and it's just like, you know, I'm here. If I'm only here to be a good father and an example, okay, I'll take it, because my girls mean the world to me, man.
Yeah, I see that too.
They do, and you know, their mother does too. But you know, we have like we're adults. Like, she can take care of herself.
Yes.
She should be able to take care of herself. I can take care of myself. I should be able to take care of myself. Once we're on the same page, and we've been on the same page, you know, on a lot of things, but there's still some things that we got to edge out. That's being a parent, man. You can't give up. You can't just say, okay, you know what? I'm so mad. Leave.
Right.
Leave.
Right.
Because that shows the girls something.
Yes.
You can't just if it's worth it, then you work for it.
Absolutely.
And you can't and it's, oh man, you know, the girls, like my oldest daughter's got a little boyfriend now, and he's out, and I love him. He's a great kid. I love his family.
Okay, there you go.
Great kid. Very respectful. But at the same time, you know, he's a teenage boy, and I'm like, man, he's got a lot to learn.
And we were teenage boys.
Oh, 100%, man. So I tell her, and she knows. And I've always talked to her. I'm like, listen, Mama, the biggest advice, the two things I tell them as well is, I'm like, listen, not everybody that smiles is nice.
Man, so true. Yes.
And if anybody, no matter who it is, teacher, dad, anybody, sister, boyfriend, if somebody says, if you love me, you'll do this, they don't care about you.
It's manipulation.
That's manipulation.
Yeah.
And that stuff gets me hot because I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've had, you know, people use themselves against me and also take my words and just like build that trust. I'm like, hey man, tell me. And then as soon as I say it, they use it against me. And that sucks.
It sucks when people use things against you.
Trust me. I will say it right. I have trust issues. I do, because everybody that I've ever loved, and it seems like that. Maybe I'm just talking a little too wildly, but I mean, but
you're not, brother. You are not. Everything you're saying is spot on, dude.
I feel like I can't trust anybody. That doesn't make me a bad person.
No,
it doesn't make me a bad person. But I'm just very careful. I'm
have
very
to be
aware.
Yes, the devil lurks like a thief in the night, looking for someone to devour.
Oh, man, I go toe to toe with him any day now. I'm just like, okay, yeah, I got you, man.
Don't do that.
I can see you. What I mean by that is I can spot you. I can spot you from a mile away. If you come up to me, I know how to.
Your
get
instincts
you out of my
kick
face.
in. Yeah. So we call that discernment. Discernment. I did that once. I went at the devil and I was just like, come at me, this and this and that, dude. My life went to hell, and then I realized that's the spiritual battles. I got to leave it to God and focus on what I can focus. Kind of like what you did. You focus on what you was in your control. I read a quote the other day about marriages and women, and it said that your mother loves you because she's your mother. Your daughters love you because you're their dad. But your wife is the only person that's gonna love you for you. And that hit me hard, and I was just like, man, the only person that truly knows me is my wife. Like, you know, my family knows me, my friends knows me, kids know me, but the only person that truly knows, and I don't want to call them demons because at this point I don't have that, but the only person that knows my darkness and my goods and my true heart is my wife and God. Yeah. And that's why there's a covenant. So when you said that, I was just like, yeah, that makes perfect sense, dude. It's beautiful. I'm so happy for you, bro.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm learning, man. That just kind of hit me hard right there, because we had that when we're having our little mouth wars. We're like, yes, I was like, I know you better than you know you.
Yes.
And she'll say the same thing. She's like, I know you. Like, okay, man, because like I'm learning that, dude. Like the road to heaven, or was it the road to hell, looks like heaven. The road to heaven looks like hell.
That is deep, brother.
You know that is deep. Yeah, like it's just the other way around. Like it's all fun. Like to get to heaven, you know, it feels like, oh my God, I'm going through hell. But to get to hell, you're just like, man, party, bah, 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 you know what I mean? And you know, for me, I don't know if those places are places, but meaning like in the mental place, like all the bad stuff in the bad part of your life is it's easy to get there. It's paved with just like gold and
pay
girls
price
and
for
all this stuff, you know, riches, all that stuff. But to get to the good place, you're gonna make some sacrifices. You're gonna lose a lot of people. You're gonna piss some people off. You're gonna piss yourself off. Yeah. You're gonna fall. You're gonna get scraped up.
You're gonna get betrayed.
Always.
Backstabbed.
Yes, all that stuff. All that stuff that should be on the bad part. No, you got to go through that, because then you got to. It's not easy to get there. To get to the good, you got to go through a lot of the bad and be able to be resilient.
There you go. Not lose yourself. Not lose your character. So speaking of that road, let's talk about the industry a little bit.
Sure.
So how did you get into the music? When did you learn you were a singer, a musician? And how did that come into your life? Because I know that's intertwined with your family and stuff,
Yeah.
and you had to focus on that to be successful too.
I'm learning that everything that you are really meant to do or really have a passion for, you learn at a very, very young age. I remember when my parents were alive, and on Saturdays, my mom was always singing. She was always playing the radio, and I would always play the radio. And so because I learned it from her, like Saturday mornings, nice brisk mornings, springtime, she'd open up all the windows in the house, and she'd be playing the radio.
There you go.
And it was in the like 80s and 90s, so there's a lot of Donna Summers, a lot of MC Hammer, a lot of all
can't
that
touch
stuff.
this.
Yeah, New Kids on the Block, all that stuff. So there was a
Paul
lot
Abdul.
of pop, all that stuff.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that,
I love
all that
that
stuff. Just like pop music. And I just always like, man, seeing her dancing, like, so I was like, oh man, this feels good. This is awesome.
Wow.
So whenever MTV came out, I started watching that a lot, and I was like, man, this is heavy music. There's pop music. I'm seeing Paul Abdul dance with that cartoon cat, and I'm seeing Mr. Big, all the dudes with the big hair, and there's, all that stuff. And
the Raisins.
Music, yeah, the California Raisins, all that stuff, dude.
Yeah.
I'm listening to music, all different kinds of music. And you get asked that question. I get asked that question a lot. What kind of music do you like? And the
love it all.
I love it all.
Yes.
Like, well, what kind do you
Dude,
like?
I
So,
listen to classical music. I love Beethoven.
I'm in a
from
metal
Character
band. Look
Number
at
5.
that. Bring back 90s country. That's what I'm talking
Bring
about.
back 90s, man.
Because 90s was the era for me.
Yes.
All of it.
I agree.
Heavy metal, country music, pop music.
Yes.
All
Tejano
that
music.
stuff.
It's not
All
the
of
same.
that. It's
They
not.
need to bring that back. You need to bring that
I'll bring
back.
it
You and your
back.
band bring it back,
I'm bringing
brother.
the 90s back. But so I remember always feeling good about music, and then after my parents passed, I listened to a lot of music, and then my cousin would listen to a lot of music. We go cruising down, and he'd let me ride with them, and they're listening to music, and there was always a party going on. There was my aunts would throw a party. There's music going on.
Yeah.
My cousins throw a party. There's music going on. Sitting in the car, there's music going on. Just cruising. And then whenever I first met Scott, our mutual friend in high school, we would just drive around after school and just listen to music.
Listen to music.
And I've always been like a mimicker. Like I would make cartoon noises and stuff like that. So my voice I would use a lot.
Okay.
And I just thought it was fun, like to sound like Kermit and Gonzo.
Oh, okay.
And the
That's
Fraggle Rock
funny.
guys, are just He-Man. Anybody that was on cartoon,
Yes.
I would try to copy them. And I was building my voice. I didn't know it, but I was building my voice.
Huh.
And then
That's interesting.
yeah,
Very interesting.
And I just always listened to music, and I would just sing all the time. I would just sing, and I wasn't afraid to. I was just singing out loud in class. I was singing out loud with my boys. I was singing out loud, always singing. They're like, dude, you know every song on the radio.
Wow.
Why don't you just? I would just sing all the time.
Karaoke machine.
Yeah, but so I just started doing that, and then once I was working actually down the street at Bethel's on Pioneer.
Okay.
I was
gotcha.
working there, and that's
Yeah.
whenever I got my first
Good
band.
spot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's over here on Great Southwest now in 20, but
Yes, yes.
But that one I was at, and I remember my friend, one of the waiters there, was his name was Aaron Finn, and he was in the band. But before all that, I had been working there for a while. There was a little Mexican guy, waiter there, Ernie. He was just a little Spanish guy, always talking about church. He's like, man, I'm playing the bass in church.
Oh, yes. A lot of musicians come out of church.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
All the time, man. Soul.
Yes.
And so I actually lied to get into my first band.
Really?
He was. I liked Aaron. I was like, dude, man. He was listening to music. He was introducing me to like the Deftones and stuff like that. I'd never heard of them before.
Right.
And at that time, I was already listening to like Slipknot. I was getting the heavy. I was like heavy
9
stuff,
Inch Nails
man.
and
All that stuff.
System
I'm
of a
like,
Down.
Heavy.
Oh, I gotcha.
And then and he was like, dude, have you ever heard the Deftones? I was like, no. And then he let me listen to him. And he goes, man, well, I'm in a band. And we sound a lot like the Deftones. But can you play bass? And didn't even think about it. I never picked up a bass in my life.
Wow.
I didn't even flinch. I was like, dude, yeah. And he goes, oh, we're looking for a bass player.
There you go.
And he was like,
Lied to get the job. Guy.
and he was like, come try it. I was like, dude, okay, cool. What songs do you want me to learn? And he played this song called Root. It's on Adrenaline. It's on their first album. And dude, it is a hard song to play. I was like,
Bro,
whoa. I was
that's
like,
crazy.
Never picked up a bass in my life.
Dude.
Ernie, that little Mexican guy,
Yeah.
I was like, hey man, do you know where I can find a bass? He goes, I'm selling a bass. He sold it to me for $25.
Dude.
It was a little white Squire.
Yeah.
And I bought that thing, and I went and got a cord and a little amp, and I just bought that all in the same day.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and I went home and I listened to Root, and I was like, oh my God, what did I just get myself into, man? How am I going to learn this song?
Wow.
And that's where I learned that I can play by ear. Because then I just listened to the radio, and it was Green Day.
I love Green Day.
Green Day was on, and it was just it was the Longview or something like that. And I just thought, I was like, oh, I only had the time that the song was on because you can't rewind the radio.
Right.
You just play it.
It's back in the day, guys. Before Amazon Prime and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. You had to turn to the station and all that. So there was no rewind.
Hope your song plays again in an hour or something.
And we're trying to record it on a tape.
Yes. What's a tape?
So we get there, and I just start listening. I just start closing my eyes, and I'm like, oh, there's 4 strings. Where do these notes come from? I just start doing this until I was like, oh, okay, that one sounds like that one. Okay. And I just did that until I got the song. And then the next song came out, I tried to do the same thing. I was like, man, if I could do it on these songs, I can do it on this song. And I just listened, and it took me like 3 days, but I figured out the song. And I went.
You didn't know any notes, no training, just off the ear.
Like,
that's natural talent.
So I was like, so once again, it was in me somewhere.
Yes.
Music.
Right.
So I get into that band, and I'm playing bass for those guys, and then I play bass in another band. I started becoming a vocalist because one of my best friends now, and the girls know him as Uncle Jacob, like that. That's my best friend. He's no longer my friend. He's my brother.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Like, you know those relationships where like, you're not my friend, man. You're my bro, man. You're my family.
Over 20 years in the making type stuff.
Yes. So he was in a band. And he was he's a super nice guy. You would never even thought that he went any louder than this. He was, yeah, man, yes, sir, no, sir, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I saw him at a show one time, and whenever I met him, he's heavy metal, and he's just, whoa! I was like,
snap. All of a sudden, he's Freddie Mercury.
What's going on? I was like, dude, he was screaming so low and guttural, and just, I was like, whoa.
Dude.
Anyway, we started hanging out, and I had always been writing. Just like writing poems, writing journals, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
they turn to lyrics.
Yeah. That's all they are, man.
Yes. Poetry.
That's all it is.
Yep.
And he was in a band, and he said, I told him, I was like, man, I think I want to try to be a front man. I think I want to be in a band and try to be in the front.
Wow.
And not because he had already seen me play bass in my other 2 bands. He was like, dude, I've got these guys. They're looking for a singer. And they're a band called Jackknife out of and that was my first band.
Okay.
And we got signed and toured and all that stuff. It was an amazing time. But I met them through him, and it was the same type of deal where I'd never done it before.
Wow.
He introduced me to them, and I had already told him, I was like, man, I like this kind of music. I like old school metal, harmonies, solos, but I don't want to sing like the I want to just gut punch you, man.
Yeah.
And I just started practicing that at home, and then he introduced me to them. I met Mike, my guitar player at that time, who's with Breaking Benjamin now. He's their he's one of their roadie guys, but he's also in a band with one of the guys in the band.
Wow. And
I love that guy, the best guitar player I've ever played with. I met him at Guitar Center. He's like, hey man, what's up? All that whole thing.
Yeah.
He was like, well, here's a tape. Here's a tape. Once again, a tape. Here's a tape. Go listen to these songs. Write some lyrics for them, and then we'll see you next week.
So they were just all instrumentals.
Just instrumentals.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's it. And I remember I went home and I just looked through all my journals. I was like, I just kind of started. The music will make you feel something.
Yes.
It'll make you feel a certain way. And you can kind of hear something like a melody in your head. And I went there and I was like, okay, this is like an angry song, so I'm going to play this one. I'm going to try to make these words fit in there. And I started talking, and then I started like gritting down. I was like, doing that. And I was like, okay. And then I had a song. Dude. I did that for like 3 or 4 songs. I went to go audition, and they're just like, they never asked me to leave.
Bro,
like,
that is crazy. That is grit, and
Yeah.
the fact that you just build it, you
Yeah.
just went by instincts,
Yeah.
and then you got the job once or twice already.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I was supposed to be in music soon. I lied to get my first one. I made it happen, and on this one, I really.
But you went after it.
I went after it. That's the discipline. Like I was focused. I was not. There was no social media back then, so I was not watching TV a lot. I was just listening to music and hanging out with friends, going to concerts, putting myself in that life that I wanted. That
environment.
I just wanted to be. I was like, man. So when I got the opportunity, I took it, and it's all been from there, man. That's why I'm still doing it,
Bro, that is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I see your stuff. I see your music videos and their band and stuff, and it's just like...
It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun, too. I've been around a lot of artists and musicians and stuff, and just watching people grow, but I love this part of it because I get to see who the artist is, because there's a lot of... Your music probably has your personal life into it. Maybe it's not direct, but it's all emotion.
It is, yeah. It is. It's like I said, I'm an open book, man. Everything I write about it's in one of my journals, or I write it right then and there. And, you know, it goes up and down, man. Like, I'm a very positive guy, so I talk about a lot about perseverance, and I talk about, you know, coming up and getting through the dark times, but also talk about my dark side where I was like, you know, I'm like, hey, man, I'm living in my head. I'm this and you know, devil in disguise about, you know, manipulators and, you know, people that are just trying to hurt you.
Yeah.
And things like that. And sometimes it comes out either way. Sometimes it comes out really, really yelly and angry, and sometimes I want to sing a melody and it's heartfelt, and you know, and I just really, it's all heartfelt, but I mean, it comes out a different way. It comes out. That's the beauty about music. I don't want to be pinpoint. I don't want to be like, oh, they're just a heavy band. You can be heavy and melodic at the same time. Yes. There's something for everybody, and I just happen to, I listen to everything, but the music that I enjoy is performing it's heavy and melodic. And it's chaos and it's calm. Yes. And it's just everything. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just whatever comes out.
Yeah, it's art. Yeah. It's music, and we're emotional people. Yeah. And you're more relatable when you're authentic to people, to other people. Yeah. I'm the same way. Like, even on my social media, like, a lot of people think they know me through my social media, but I post like 1% of my life.
That's everybody.
Right?
That's everything.
But a lot of it sometimes is emotional because I'm just like, dude, I'm human. Like, I'm not always happy. Sometimes I'm angry. Sometimes I mess up. Sometimes I'm good. Sometimes I'm bad. But that's just me. I'm not scared to be myself. Yeah. And I think in your art, you can see that because you're not scared to be yourself.
Yeah. You know? No, if that's where I feel more like myself than anywhere. Yes. I feel alive on that stage. I feel, and it's not a hey, look at me thing. It's because I don't know why it comes out so easy. Like, this is what's weird is that I feel so, it's easy for me to do that whenever I'm with my band. Open mics, karaoke, scare the hell out of me, dude.
Are you serious?
Oh my God, I get so nervous, dude. Because I'm singing somebody else's stuff. Yeah. And it's just like, hey, look at me type deal. Yeah. It's not me. But some songs I can relate to. Right. If I can relate to them, it's easier. But if it's just like you're saying like, I get knocked down and I get up again, you know, Chumbawamba or something like that. I'm
man,
just like,
Chumbawamba, bro.
You're just being
Back
goofy.
in the day right there.
Yeah, you're just being goofy on stage, and that's more of like a look at me thing. So I don't. Yes. That's more embarrassing for me or something. I just recently started playing guitar. I taught myself this time because I've been trying since I was 12. It was too many strings and too hard, so I picked up the bass. Dude. And I got tired of quitting on that, so I just really started last November. I made a commitment to myself saying, man, I've been wanting to do this forever. I bought a guitar, and I was like, okay, I'm going to play every single day.
How well do you play?
Now, now I
can you play a song or like?
Oh yeah, I've done an open mic night. Yeah, on my Instagram, on my TikTok, all that stuff. I post myself. I do it almost a couple times a week, but I learn a song and then I play it. Wow. I played Garth Brooks. I played Adele. I played Sublime. Wow. I play Post Malone. They're all on there, man.
Which Adele song did you play?
Set Fire to the Rain.
That's a good one.
Dude, I just did it the other day.
Really?
Yeah, I just did it the other day because I was like, man, I love that song. Dude, and I learned the chords, and I was like, man.
I'm a little jealous, hanging a lie. I wish I could play an instrument.
No. But that's it, man. I wanted to as well because I just always wanted to be a campfire guy. I always just want to pick up that acoustic guitar and just around the campfire and, hey, let's just play some chill songs or whatever. Yes. And I taught and I'm still learning that. I can sing, but I wanted to be able to play guitar. And then I wanted to be able to play guitar and sing. Mm-hmm. That's a hard thing to do, man. Your hands are doing one thing, your mouth's doing another. Mm-hmm. It's hard. It's something that you got to learn. It's something you got to practice, and that's what I've been doing. And that's where I'm at now. Like we're writing new music now, but for myself, for my practice, I wake up in the morning, I have some coffee, I pick up my guitar and I start strumming, and then if I see a song that I want to play, I'll learn it, and then I'll practice it for hours, and then I'll post it. And then I'll post it a little bit, you know. Yes. So.
I think that's amazing because a lot of people are scared to follow their dream or their passion because they listen to the world or they feel they're not good enough. I actually grew up singing. So when you were talking about your mom singing and stuff like that, my dad used to sing like corridos y mariachi. And my mother was into like old school oldies, Richie Valens, all that stuff. Yeah. So I also had a combination of all the soul and the country and rock and all that stuff. And I used to sing, and I can sing pretty well. But I gave up my musical talents to get into filmmaking because I had to choose one or the other. And there's times that I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go back towards it. Yeah. But I had to let go of one thing to be better at the other thing.
Balance.
Yeah, and you focused on your thing.
That's what I want to do. And it shows the girls that I really want to do this. And it's fun because I could do that with them. The girls are very musically talented because their mother is too. She's a great singer.
Oh, wow.
I sing. Yes. I play. And the girls, I've taught them to play guitar, and they can play, and they can both. Man, their voices are ridiculous.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I always push them like, man, why don't y'all get some friends and why don't y'all play it?
Make a band.
Music. Yeah. Do
yeah.
something.
There you go.
I'm never gonna force them.
No.
But they're good at
no
it.
Joe Jackson stuff.
Nah. Although that day he did make some pop stars.
Yeah. What I'm saying. Like pressure makes diamonds, man.
Yeah. But I want them to be happy. They're amazing
yes, they gotta
artists
love
as
it.
well. They draw very well, and whichever one they decide to do, I'm like, cool. Just do something creative.
So let me ask you this, and you can look into that camera. Sure. For somebody that wants to follow their dreams, they don't know where to start. What would you tell them?
All right. So the best thing to do is the only thing he already said it. If somebody wants to start, you just got to start. It doesn't matter if the first thing you do completely sucks, because it will. Nobody starts off just totally amazing. Everybody starts off and they're trying. It's not exactly what they want at the beginning. Take the first step. Start. If you want to be a good artist and all you do one day is just put a mark on a piece of paper out of emotion. You're feeling confused and you just draw a wiggle line. Name that piece of art confusion, and that's it. It's as easy as that. If you want to write lyrics, if you want to write poetry, just write something. Man, this is hard. Done. Just start. If you want, like I said, you want to get back into shape. Put your shoes on and go step outside and walk around the block. Walk around the block. Then the next day, walk 2 blocks. Then the next day, maybe jog a little bit.
Yeah.
Just start somewhere, man. You want to learn how to cook? Break an egg and put it in a frying pan. That's it. Just start. You have to. You the only person that's going to stop you is you. The only person that can make you do it is you. Quit caring about what everybody else thinks, because honestly, and I mean this in the most respectful way, nobody cares what you're doing. They're too busy thinking about themselves to be worried about you. In a gym, don't worry about being too skinny or too big to be in there, because that guy, he's not looking at you. He's looking at himself in the mirror. He's not worried about you. You worry about you. That's it.
Powerful words by Joe Ortiz. So, man, this has been an awesome interview, brother. I feel like I have multiple episodes that I'm going to put this together in.
Yeah, please.
But before you go, do you mind singing that Adele song?
This is I'll play a little bit of Must Be the Whiskey, Cody Jinks.
Let's go. It's a treat right here. Joe Ortiz, Montoya Power Podcast.
God, I'm sweating like crazy right now. Here we go. Oh no, I ain't crazy, but lately my heart seems to really stay a million miles apart. My heart says to love you, my head says to run. So my heart's too afraid to tell my head what it's done. I know that it can never be the way it was. You don't wanna be the death of me, I can't give you up. Too much is not enough. It's not the love, it's not the lust that grips me. Must be the whiskey. I've been drinking to remember and drinking to forget. I gotta love you on my mind. I got Jim Beam on my breath, and loneliness has got the rest. I've got nothing left within me. Must be the whiskey. Yeah.
That is awesome. And you heard that first here, Montoya Power Podcast.
Through my jeans right now.
Dude, no, that was amazing. That's
thanks, man.
that is amazing, brother.
I'd love to.
Yeah,
that's my goal. That's why I want to do this, because I want to play parties. I just want to hang out with my boys and just do goofy stuff, man.
I love this, brother. Man, thank you for being on the podcast, brother.
Man, thanks for
hopefully
me.
I can shoot a music video for you or something. If you need anything, I got you, brother.
Absolutely.
No charge. This was a blessing, dude.
Yeah, man, that was a lot of fun.
Yes, I love it, dude. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Can you just plug your stuff, your band, and your social media stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can, my band's Lockjaw. So on Facebook, it's lockjawlive.com. That's also our website. That goes to everything we have. Our Spotify is Lockjaw. Now we are in a little battle with this other Lockjaw that doesn't want to give up the name. We own it. We trademarked it. We have all the rights and everything. They just don't want to give it up.
Okay.
Just remember this face, because there's a picture of us.
There you go.
All of our guys on there. It's
the real Lockjaw right here.
Lockjaw. Now, so on Instagram, it's Lockjaw Metal. That'll take you to our Lockjaw Instagram page. And then on Facebook, Facebook.com/lockjawlive.com. And then our website is lockjawlive.com. I would love for you guys to support us. Check us out. We got a lot of good songs. I think we do. So we're going in the studio now to start pre-production on our next album, and then we're gonna start touring again. So keep up with us, man.
Absolutely, That is awesome. This has been a pleasure, brother. Thank you for being on the podcast.